Well, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and German. Ladies and gerbils. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time. It has come. Google's released the Android 12 developer preview this week. So it's been a long time since I've actually done one of these videos on my channel, and today I'm going to be showing you how to actually install this developer preview on your Google Pixel. So this is available currently for the Pixel 3, 3a, 4, 4a, 4a 5G, and 5. So unfortunately, Pixel 2, 2XL devices, you're out of luck. And this time, first time since Google's done developer previews and betas, we're pretty much getting an update every single month for developer previews, and then beta releases. We're going to be getting about 4 of them before the final release. So there are 2 ways you can install this, one being through the Fastboot with factory images. The other is through the recovery and using ADB sideload, basically sideloading an OTA image as if you were to download it on your device and install it from there. There are differences. If your device is not bootloader unlocked, then you are going to want to use the OTA method. Now, if you are rooted or if your bootloader is unlocked, then you're going to want to use the factory image method, which I'll also be able to show you how you can actually root the Android 12 developer preview. So there is one benefit of that. Of course, if you do go with the factory image way, you are going to need to unlock the bootloader if it's not already, and that will wipe your device, so keep that in mind. If you are wanting to use the OTA method, pretty much in order to revert back, you are going to need to factory reset anyways. Same goes for factory image, so regardless, one way or another. So all the links where you can download these images and zip files will be down in the description, so check that out. Make sure you download the appropriate file and zip for your device. Of course, if you download the wrong zip and you try to flash it, you will probably run into issues or you'll run into errors, so just keep that in mind. I'm not responsible for anything that happens to your device, so don't come blaming me that I bricked your phone or you lost your data, things like that. But first and foremost, before we get started, back up your phone. However you choose to do that, that is on you. I use the SMS backup and restore app. I've been using that for many years, and it's been working wonderfully for me. So go ahead and back up your device. And then I also recommend going into your actual phone settings, backup, and then go ahead and back up now. That way, if there's any sort of settings on there, preferences, they are at least backed up and the most recent that you have. Of course, back up any files, photos that you have on your device too. That way you don't lose anything in the event something happens during this installation process. So go ahead and download your appropriate files. I am going to be using a Pixel 5. This device is rooted as well, and currently my device is also passing safety net with basic evaluation type. So there is that, and I'll show you how to root that later on in the video, so stay tuned. So since I'm going to be using my Pixel 5 as well as rooting my device, I'm going to need to download the factory image. So you can tell one way very easily how you've downloaded the correct file is if you've done factory images, it will actually have factory here in the zip file. If you've done the OTA, then it'll have the OTA listed there in the file name. So that's a quick way for you to double check that you download the correct one. Once you've downloaded those files, I actually recommend doing this on your Pixel or on your device, because I'll explain that here in just a moment. Since we are going to be rooting, we are going to be using the factory images. So after you download the files, you're going to need to extract them because they are in a zip file. So once you open that, you can use whatever file explorer on your Android device to extract those images and the files within the zip file. Okay, so you would extract them like I've done already, and I'll explain why that is important. So now that we have the files within the zip file, you are going to need to locate there's a sub zip file within the zip file, which is image, redfin, and some other letters and numbers indicating the build number, basically. So this zip file contains all the factory images within here. The reason why this is important, that you need the boot image within this zip file. This boot image will allow us to patch the boot file with Magisk, so that way after we flash and install this update via Fastboot, we can flash that patched boot image. So once you have extracted that, as we can see here, I've already done this, that boot image, go ahead and you need to download and install Magisk if that is not done already. Now you don't need to be rooted prior to doing this, so no need to worry if this is going to be your first time. Make sure after you install Magisk, I'll leave the links down in the description, of course, where you can download the latest version. Make sure you are using official Magisk files, not ones found on different websites. Use the files from GitHub. Very important that you note that. After you installed the APK for Magisk, go to settings. You want to make sure that your channel that you have selected is Canary. This is pretty much pre-beta versions. This will support the Android 12 and of course future releases of developer previews and betas. Basically Canary channel, even though it is still in progress, it does support new versions of Android updates as well as monthly Android updates as well. So go ahead and make sure you change your channel to Canary, and then you're going to want to install here to install that latest Canary build. After it installs, it might prompt you if you want to use Magisk to install an app. You want to give that permission and allow. Once it's done, it'll restart, and then you basically reopen the app altogether. Okay, perfect. Now, next is going to be the installing Magisk. So we'll tap on install, and then we're going to want to select the select and patch a file. At that point, we are going to select the boot image of the Android 12 developer preview, because that is what we'll be using to flash after we install the update. You'll select that. It'll automatically go through patching the boot image, which I will show you real quick. You select it and you tap on let's go, and we can see here it is done. It tells you where the file outputs and the file name as well. So you want to grab that here, so that way we can copy that patched boot image along with all the other files that we extracted from the original factory image zip file. So since I've done that, I put it into a separate folder. I've now then copied that folder with those files and the patched boot image into a folder on my computer called basically Android 12, and I have them here. Next, you are going to need to use ADB and Fastboot, so you will have to make sure to download and install the Android SDK Platform tools. Now, I am using Windows 10. Your setup and the process is going to be slightly different for you if you use Mac or Linux, so do keep that in mind. But if you download the SDK Platform and tools, you'll be brought to a zip file that contains all the appropriate files that you need for ADB and Fastboot to work properly. So what you're going to want to do is extract these files into the folder that you used for the update. So as you can see, these were the files from the platform tools that I just downloaded. These are the latest versions. And then I extracted them into the folder where I have my factory image for the Android 12 developer preview. Okay. And here, that way, ADB and Fastboot is kind of temporarily installed. If this folder is in place, you can always do this on your C drive. You can do it anywhere you want, but this is just how I do it. That way I do this every single time when there's a new monthly patch. That way I know everything is up to date and working properly. All right, so there's the preparation. Now, before we get to the fun stuff, is to actually flash the images. But of course, like I said, backing up your device is of most importance, so do so if you have not already. Pause this video, that way everything is ready to go before we dive into flashing these images here. Before you flash these images, if you are currently rooted, make sure you disable any sort of Magisk modules, because one, this is a developer preview for a new version of Android. Your Magisk modules probably are not compatible, which means it could cause boot loop issues. One thing to note is it is highly recommended that you actually factory reset whenever you are updating to a major Android version update. So in this event, we are updating to Developer Preview 12 from Android 11. Now, if you choose to update, or if you choose to factory reset or not, that is on you, but more than likely there is a chance that you might run into bugs if you just update compared to factory resetting and starting from scratch. So there are pros and cons to each. Depending on your use, you might not want to and have to set up your phone, but again, that's up to you. I'm going to just try it out to see how stable or unstable it is, and then I will be making a future video on Android 12 developer preview in the coming days or next week, so stay tuned to that. I will leave the link up here to that video when that video drops, so stay tuned, hit that subscribe button, that way you'll get notified when that video drops. So again, you might run into bugs, so factory reset if you want. Also, usually developer previews do not pass safety net certification, so things like Google Pay more than likely will not work, but we'll try to get around that using Magisk after we install it. So we'll see what happens there. So back to your computer, we are now at the point of flashing these images. So we need to actually boot into Fastboot. So what we can do easily is open up a command prompt within the folder that you have your ADB Fastboot set up in. And you can do that easily on Windows by just clicking inside this file extension bar, typing CMD. And this will bring up our command prompt within that file location here, okay? And then what we'd want to do, we just want to make sure your device is plugged in. Of course, make sure it is properly charged. That way it doesn't die midway through flashing. Then you're going to run into a lot of issues. Go ahead and type in ADB devices. This way we can ensure that the device is communicating with the computer via ADB, and we can see that it is responding properly as it should. Next, go ahead and type in ADB reboot bootloader. This way the device will boot into Fastboot and we'll be able to flash our images. Here we are, Fastboot mode. Bootloader is already unlocked, of course. And then what we want to do just to make sure that our device is communicating with the computer in Fastboot devices. And we just verified right there that it is still connected. So that's great to see. Of course, the steps to actually flash the OTA zip update is going to be different than this. So go to this next part in the video on the timestamp. I'll leave down in the description for you to jump to that section. So that way you can do those commands instead. It's actually a much simpler process than what we are doing right here. But I figured that since you're probably wanting to install this while retaining root, then that's why you're watching this video. So next is going to be a series of commands, okay? And I'm going to leave all these commands that you're going to need down in the description as well, so you can easily copy and paste. Alrighty, so that being, we need to flash the bootloader image. Okay, so there's a couple images here that we are going to need to flash before actually flashing the factory images, one being the bootloader and then also flashing the radio. Okay, so these are the commands that you'll be flashing. So what you'd want to do is type in fastboot flash bootloader, And then if you just begin typing the file name that you're needing to flash and then press tab, it'll automatically complete the entire file name. So if you want, you can just edit the file name and just type in boot.img, or if you want to leave it and just do this tab to autofill the rest of the file name, it'll do that for you. It's up to you. Just make sure you're typing it in properly one way or another. Go ahead and fastboot flash bootloader and then sending. If everything is okay, it tells you that it's all right. And then what we're going to want to do is actually reboot back into the bootloader. So fastboot reboot bootloader. Since we updated our bootloader, it's important that you reboot back into the bootloader before flashing any other images. It's going to take a second. All right, so we are back. Next is we're going to need to flash the radio. So that command being fastboot flash radio tab automatically completes that file name. Perfect. Enter. Sending. All right, it was successful. Okay, so next we're going to need to reboot back into the bootloader just like we did before, and we can easily do that by pressing the up arrow to scroll through the recent commands that we have sent. So fastboot reboot bootloader, press enter, and it's going to one more time boot back into fastboot. Alrighty, so next, this command is going to be slightly different than what you might be used to. And the reason why, and I'll explain that here, is we're needing to flash the factory images in this zip file here. Okay, so this images .zip file contains all the factory images that are required, all the different various partitions. So normally after you update that, the phone automatically reboots, right? So what we are needing to do is actually skip that reboot command after it finishes. So that way we can actually flash our patched boot image to maintain root. But I won't, just for the sake of video, that the initial boot actually works. So in order to do the update, we're going to be typing in fastboot dash or hyphen skip dash reboot update, and then the file name. All right, so just like before where we typed in radio and then hit tab, we can go ahead and type in image dash and then redfin, which is our device code name, and then the build number, essentially .zip. And then basically after we do this and press enter, it'll automatically extract the images and flash them one by one. Your device will reboot multiple times throughout this process, so do keep that in mind. Don't worry, it's going to boot into a fast boot D mode as well. And then once it's all done, it'll take a couple minutes. It's going to stay in fast boot, and then we'll be right back. Alright guys, so we are back. I'm sorry I did cut the video just because I wanted to make sure I had enough storage space on my computer while doing this screen capture. So as we can see here, it is complete. It took about 156 seconds. And then at this point, our device is still in fastboot D mode. And that's because we skipped the actual reboot. So I'm going to go ahead and just reboot system now. The first initial boot up will take some time, so do keep that in mind, that if this sits on this boot screen for a minute or two, that's okay. Usually after updates, or at least major updates, it does take a couple minutes longer to do the first initial boot. And you will know that it finished booting up if it's still plugged into your computer, that you'll hear your computer recognize a device has been plugged in via USB. So if that's the case, that means the boot up process is successful. Now, if you never hear your computer recognize the device, your phone, then you know you need to wait a little bit longer, or you're running into a boot loop issue. So we'll just give this a couple more seconds, and then we should be into the OS at that point and running Android 12 developer preview. So those wondering, how do you update to Android 12 developer preview using the OTA method? So now that you're here, welcome. You are going to be flashing the OTA zip image for your device. Okay, so like before, make sure you download the proper device. go ahead and reboot your device into recovery mode. You can turn off your device by pressing and holding the power button, and then once the device is off, you can go ahead and press and hold the power and volume up button, and that will boot you into recovery mode. So I'll do that right now. So press and hold, you can press power off. When you do that, press and hold the power and volume up buttons after your device is turned off. Keep pressing and holding until you get to the recovery menu. If you get to this screen with a little Android guy with a warning signal saying no command, then you're there. Next, what you want to do is just press the power volume up button. So power and then the volume up. Don't press them at the same time. Do it in power. While holding power, press the volume up button in that sequence. Then you'll get your recovery settings screen there. What you're going to want to do is go down to where it says apply update from ADB, and then press the power button. And ADB sideload is literally all you need to do. It tells you the command that you actually have to type in. So ADB sideload and then your file name. So in the event for us, if we download this Pixel 5 Redfin-OTA update, again, you can always rename this to ota.zip. So you could pretty much just type in ADB sideload ota.zip, press enter. It'll automatically start installing and flashing the OTA zip update for the Android 12 developer preview. This can be done on Verizon devices, carrier-specific devices, or on an unlocked phone, but do keep in mind that you're not going to be able to unlock the bootloader for a Verizon device, of course. For me, I'm just going to go ahead and do ADB reboot. After you flash the OTA zip, your device will automatically reboot as well. So your process for installing this is quite simple. It will take a couple minutes, like I said, for the initial boot up, which mine has already done. If you paid close attention just a little earlier, it'll show. And then on your first reboot, and of course any consecutive restart after that point, will present you with this Android developer preview warning to give you feedback, or press OK to continue. And there is the lock screen. All right, it'll take a couple seconds here to finish system update. We can go down to About Phone, Android version S. Boom, Android 11, but it's not Android 11. Nice little Easter egg. It's Android 11, but yet it's Android 12. They haven't updated the Easter egg, unfortunately, so no fun there, but we do at least get Android S and the Android version, so that is working properly. Fantastic. Now to Magisk. As we can see here, since we didn't flash that boot image, it is currently showing that it is NA, as in not installed, so that's good. That's what we want to see. Now, if you want to root, then in order to do that, we need to boot back into Fastboot and flash that patched boot image, so that way your device will be rooted at that point. So let's go ahead and do that right now to see whether or not we can boot up here. All right, so we're in Fastboot, flash boot, and then the file name that I have it as is magisk_patch. So the default Magisk, perfect image, sending boot image, finish. So that was successful. Fastboot, reboot. Alrighty. Drum roll, everyone. We'll cross our fingers. And it looks like it is not booting. It just boots directly back into Fastboot. So that's unfortunate, but we can easily get around that by flashing the stock boot image again. Fastboot flash boot boot.img. Did I extract it or not? I did not, so let me go ahead and extract it real quick. Okay. All right, everyone, so we are back. Michelle from XDA did confirm that Magisk does work on the developer preview, and a couple others have had success on booting as well. All right, everyone, so it seems like I've been unsuccessful of rooting the Pixel 5 with Magisk on the developer preview of Android 12. So I'll just have to wait for potentially that update to maybe come through on Magisk to support the Pixel 5. Not sure if and what Google might have done to change the support, but we'll see. But at the moment, we are running the developer preview. But stay tuned for a future video on some of the features of the stability and my experience using it for a couple days, and kind of give you my feedback on it. And so I'm really excited to be able to check out some of what Android 12 has to offer early on already in mid-February. If you guys thought this video was helpful, please like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Hopefully you will be able to get this developer preview on your device, but stay tuned. I'll let you know if it's actually worth it, if it's even stable for daily use. But more than likely it's not, but I'm willing to take the risk. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was helpful. Until next time, I'll see you around. Thank you for watching. Take care.